What's up, Valorant fans? Welcome back as we're getting ready for our second series in the Swiss stage with Valorant Game Changers North America. I'm Shift. With me, I've got Ash. And hey, I don't know about you, Ash, but I'm feeling pretty lucky that we just had a chance to kick off our Game Changers debut with an electric series, and now a chance to get an evaluation on one of the team's most anticipated squads with YFP coming up next.
I think it's always fun when you get to start off Swiss stage with a heater. You're not always so blessed for that. And I think that, you know, looking at the next matches that we have coming up for this first round, for our second block of today, we've got some huge matches and huge names, I think, that you guys can expect. We've got the SRG matchup, and then you've also got I think some of the logos here aren't quite matching up with what we necessarily expected. But yeah, FlyQuest, big names. I think you look over towards even our YFP versus Kasoku matchup that is coming in next. Should be a really good one there as well. I'm expecting that one to also be, honestly, a potential 3-mapper here on the mainstream.
Okay, I like that. A little predictive analysis coming out early. Because I was about to say, you know, looking at who our first four teams were to make it in, so far 3 of the 4 of them have 2-0 swept, bopped, said farewell to their opponents. They were clean, they were convincing. They've dealt with business as usual, and now the only question remaining is what can YFPX do? A team that, again, I think brings a lot of anticipation with it, but you kind of putting some value onto this Kasoku Band squad, it definitely leads to, again, a possibility of maybe not necessarily full-on upset, but some intrigue, to put it plainly, for the squads that are a little bit on the lesser-known side. But let's get to know the squad that I think everyone's mostly excited to see. Scary Shark, Misu, Corrupt, Edith, and Melia. This squad has done some damage in Game Changers and really rose into its formidability, trying to hang with the likes of teams like Shopify Rebellion Gold and FlyQuest Red.
Oh, absolutely. Not even just thinking about, you know, how YFPX has kind of grown as an overall, like, org name and whatnot within the Game Changers scene, but even just like these individual players. You've got Scary Shark, also known as Nora, who is currently on Prosperity within the Challengers League right now. You've also got Corrupt leading a team of their own as well. The IGL here for YFP is doing double time as well in Game Changers versus Challengers. And then Misu, Edith, and Melia, those are names that I feel like everyone has known for the last several years of GC too. Like, Edith has so much history, I think, within the Game Changers scene. They've had just incredible results as that star-studded duelist player that can really just take you off guard at any point and always have one of those pop-off moments. And Misu's always been a very consistent flex player that you can rely back on.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, kind of like giving a synopsis to this YFPX squad right now, is that they're there, but they need to show that they can beat one of the top teams. That's the one thing that they really have not been able to do, as kind of a reaffirmation to what had happened in kickoff, where they lost to FlyQuest Red and they had lost to the Wadada team that really has been stealing the attention and some of the hearts of the Game Changers fandom. So for YFPX, again, anticipations would be come out, deal with business, start off 1-0, get yourself in a position to have those key head-to-head matchups as soon as humanly possible, because, again, the veterancy, the experience, it's all there. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. It just comes down to if they can put them together. On the other side of things, though, take me through this Kasoku Band team, because this is a squad that's coming in a little bit lesser known in terms of, again, just the competitive history of playing through Game Changers in this particular year, over the last calendar year, maybe as a group of 4. But still, coming through the second qualifier, they, you know, had a couple of decent, solid wins. They had a map 3 affair versus Berserkers, couldn't quite get through them, but eventually fell down and qualified in their second attempt in that final qualifier.
Yeah, I think, you know, good shouts on the overall history of maybe this team, like, as a core, but I have more my eyes on, I think, the individual players themselves, especially looking over towards Avery, Panday, and Supercat. Those are 3 names that have been around the Game Changer scene since around, like, 2022. You've had Supercat was, you know, on San Rios, like, back in 2022, and that was the team that kind of was a dark horse to actually make it to the main event. One of the few times that we've actually seen non-organized teams back then, when there were a lot more org investment into this scene, actually make it into that main event. And then you are also looking at, you know, a Panday who has had that history playing on previously Supernova Galaxy, Misfits Black, Xset, also previously on Sanrio's, and then that is also a player that this previously, most well known, I think, as an insane sentinel with great timing, being an insane anchor for their squad, has just only continued to level up in that kind of regard. And then I don't know, any Dart Monkeys enjoyers in the chats, because that's who I think of when I think of the name Avery. I don't think, like, if you've been here from day one, you should know who Avery is when you're considering the fact that they really started out, I think, in Game Changers on that Dart Monkeys team. That was always a fan favorite for people.
I love that little almanac of history coming through here. Is Ash. Also important to note, we're hearing from production that Supercat may be subbed out here for the whole series for carry instead. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. And yeah, it looks like we did just get confirmation that that will be the case. So Kasoku Band, I'm not sure if that's a situation where Supercat not able to play, or if they're just trying something different out after some tribulations throughout the qualifier. But again, we'll kind of come to learn exactly what this team identity is going to look like as we jump on into our map picks and bans. We're going to get Haven again, this time as the opener, picked by YFP. They'll start off on defense before we eventually head over to Pearl, with Ascent waiting, as you kind of predicted, for a potential map 3 affair.
Yeah, I think looking over at this current pick ban, I feel like you consider the fact that these teams, again, they have like pretty similar map pools overall. Sure. And it is interesting because I think for YFP, they've had, I think, much more comfortable wins on most of the maps that they've played there too. A lot more consistency when it comes down to really only dropping the 2 losses previously, which was on a bind that is no longer in the pool, right?
Yep,
so something that they don't have to worry about. And for everything else, it's been pretty easy breezy for them.
Yeah, in this map in particular, most recently an overtime win versus Wadada, and a relatively tight affair in the lower final versus FlyQuest Red. Again, that was a while ago, though. That was a couple of months back. But still, this map pool is going to look really good for YFPX, because they're also, at least, at the start of the calendar year, they're 4-0 on Pearl. So definitely one of those that, again, just as the matchups happen to go, you're going to get these round ones where you've got a heavy-sided favorite on one side. Now, the thing about this is, and this has been the fun story about not just Game Changers, but also Challengers so far this year, has been these teams that have put together rosters with some good competitive experience, maybe not formidable names, but tested, proved, a chance to, kind of expand and try a different formula. There could be something in the water. It's often one of those things you can look at as maybe classifying as a bit of a honeymoon phase. We'll see if that comes through for this Kasoku Band team, trying to get things kicked off on a map that they have some decent experience on pretty recently as well. They played this a lot in their most recent qualifier. So see if they've been able to put things together, because, looking at their results, they had played different agent compositions in just about all of those games. Although this one that they're playing right here is pretty much what they played, with the only exception being that the Astra is in for carry instead of what they had played previously, which was Omen.
Yeah, and that's something that we do need to shout out here as well for Kasoku Band, is that Supercat actually won't be in the server this time around, and Carrie will be subbing in for them. And maybe that's a little bit of a difference of like maybe comfort, or I would also even be curious to see if that is maybe just an overall change that Kasoku Band are going to be implementing through, and hopefully we'll be able to find out like after today's matches and whatnot. But the Astra, I think what's interesting is starting out on the attacking side, it will allow for a little bit more of like that post-plant potential as opposed to the Omen, but then you also do sacrifice a little bit of that setup potential there for Korra, so a bit more of that reliance, I think, on Panday to actually be throwing out those flashes, the fault line to actually set up on those angles and whatnot. And it's cool to see that Panday as an individual ship has, I think, only just like most well known previously for the Sentinel, but has just continued to add like more depth to their agent pool, providing a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, we love that. Variability, I think, is one of those things that we've often touted as being a key kind of, I won't say intangible, but one of those characteristic traits of a player that really gets appreciated as, we get deeper and deeper through the stage, as, maps get in and out of the pool. And more so importantly, as more agents get added into the pool, the ability to kind of keep yourself on your toes and making sure that you're in there, giving yourselves the best possibilities of making advantage or taking advantage of the metas that we start to see unfold. But enough of that. Let's get into this. We've got map number 1 here between YFPX and Kasoku Band. Going to be a Haven, and KB will be on the offense first, already setting up some lineups, trying to get an early execute to see.
Yeah, really fast take right off the gate, right? The YFP prepared for it. They maintained this garage control. Alarm bot down. Still, Panday is actually going to push the issue forward a little bit here. And I do like that YFP go for a little bit of that mid re-clear just to make sure that there's no backstab looming. But look at the timing that Carry is actually trying to take.
Oh, yeah, and he did not expect that whatsoever. Panday for 2. Avery follows up for the 3rd, and you still have a post-plant member all the way deep at C long. Good shock dart clear. Actually, it's going to chunk out a lot of Melia. Gary inside the dirt cover. Good timing on this return back to the site, but Melia with the trade, but low HP. Can't do much more than that, and how about that? Right out the gate, KB looking solid.
Really nice start for KB here. Looking forward to seeing how they continue forward. Just the pistol round to kick things off, but it was a good idea from YFP as well. I think, you know, you see them maintaining that garage control, them looking for that mid re-clear. I feel like with how quiet things were on site, how easy it was for KB, I think they had a great read to actually look to push into spawn and try and break up that retake as early as possible.
Love it. And it just an element of surprise when it comes to getting a deep scale 4-member walk down into the defensive angle. So kind of keeping YFP a bit on their toes, and now they're just into essentially a firing range of classics and sheriffs and holding hands down C long. And KV, maybe as a way to say that they're anticipating something along these lines, have barely left spawns. Kind of a trail shot gets sent out through C long, so the attention of KV goes back over that direction. Lots of damage starts to come through. We're just going to get a square up. And it's not a fair fight, but it's a square up nonetheless, and that'll be a re-clear of C long, forcing YFP back.
Still looking to re-clear this space, forcing the angle out for Melia with the aftershock here as well, and it's just punish on punish. Not too much you can really expect in the pistol round here from the side of YFP, just looking to do a little bit of that damage, and unfortunately for them, that set play just didn't quite work out.
Yep. It's one of those things, and I don't know if that stray shot over towards C-Long was intentional or not, but that just makes the read so simple for KB. But now we start to get into the map a little bit deeper. YFP going to be able to full purchase. Melia is going to have a judge in hand, at least for now. And the split up of the defensive setup will be a 2-1-2 split with, as expected, Corrupt just kind of playing and lingering around through mid. Maybe a chance to set up an early fault line and run down play for Edith here through a long, but KB would be in a spot to deal with it if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, definitely could be possible. I'll have this long control here at the very least. Edith tucked into the corner. Misu trying to do a little bit of bait here and there, and then you've got that short covered by Corrupt.
And Panday gets one here, that's fine. Tries to play the counter flash, not going to happen. Or it is still through sewer, but now you can try to isolate here. Relay bolt out, Edith try to take away the space, and as the stun starts to be shaken off, KB will back off and play this out. Well, I was going to say 4v5, but Melia gets a read on the play through Garage, and numbers will now continue to hold for YFP.
50 seconds left on the clock. And the Mad Dash coming in here, YFP, they have quite the read on it, at the very least. You've also got Smoke down here, allowing Scary Shark to maintain this backside control now.
Good flash. Corrupt, though, follows through.
Last player standing.
Trades back and forth, leaving Carry by themselves. And no, there's just no other route coming available. Just trying to sprint around, catch a timing, not going to happen. And YFP get on the board. It's a punishing bonus, though, to be a plainly. It's 3 eliminations, not bad for KB.
Yeah, managing to get a couple of those guns out of their hands, right? And now we're starting to get into those ultimate cycles here as well. For the side of YFP, actually looking pretty solid in that regard. You've got maybe 2 away from that neural theft coming out from Melia, who has been pretty consistent as far as being that kind of site anchor, being able to worm her way around, ensure that she's able to survive for the sake of her utility.
Revealing area.
And for YFP, I mean, as a byproduct of the agents that were selected, you're continuing to get this Recon bolt. Rundown for Edith with the potential support of Corrupt playing on that angle on Sewer. So A control has looked decent for the side of YFP. KB is just countering by throwing up an alarm bot to make sure that there is some sort of an obstacle that would have to be hurdled. Aldrone to try to seek out information at mid is going to come up empty. And this is going to throw some question marks to YFP here of where exactly is this hit, especially as KB throw out an Aldrone trying to lean some info over towards A.
We've already got a flash attack ready here for Corrupt. Actually going to pull it out. Stuck in that util, has to look for the reposition. Don't have any information on any other part of the map right now. Still plenty of time to look for that re-clear, but you look at where Edith's already posted up over towards A lobby.
And the thing about this is, like, the alarm bot's a problem, but so is the sentry drone. So, like, for KB, you're still feeling really confident that your flank is more than
30
fine.
seconds left.
Even if this alarm bot does get popped. But where's the hit going to develop at? Is it going to be towards garage and then into B, or is it going to be a long wrap over
so
towards
good.
C? There's action at the front doors. Bob burst in. Corrupt still playing in a corner. Nice thing from Cora. But the trades. Scary Shark gives an advantage now to YFP. Not a lot of time. Cora able to find one, but Scary Shark fully healthy. He's looking for a swing and will find the elimination just before the spike gets blended. We're tied at 2.
That was a close round, nitty gritty, down to the core. And you could see the idea there from YFP as well. They had them contained outside of mid. Sure, you were talking about the, the Sentinel util being up still on the side of KB, kind of watching that flank and making them feel a bit secure. But I think Edith was really just waiting for, all the commotion to be made on that site pop before an opportunity to look for one of those fast flanks and try and get a pick through mid window. So that's something that we'll definitely have to keep an eye out on here for YFP.
Yeah, really good point. Put a pin in that one and keep your eyes on it, friends. Lean into the monitors just a little bit more as we jump on into round 5. Just really the knives and sheriffs here for KB. Not to be taken lightly. Aldrone trying to catch through this nebula, and it doesn't see anything. That's critical for KB. They still have at least some element of surprise here if they decide to burst on towards site. First one to check will be Cora, and Misu's gotten a read, and we'll just respect that. Back away, play off the defensive utility, and it's a perfect fault line combination to come through Aftershock to make sure, and Misu rewarded for the spoke spam, and KB have been stonewalled on this approach through A long.
It's a great trap setup coming out from KB. The calling from Corrupt has been great. Now, they're trying to wrap this up. Edith already watching for that rotation. The flash to come through. KB has nowhere to go.
Whoa! Neon doing neon things. Edith slipping around, not allowing a chance for Bizarre to find anything more. So Misa will be the only one to fall, but I mean, her job was done immediately on that first defense on A. Shutting down the knives and an extra through the smoke puts that round well out of question, and now we get back to a full purchase. Hunter's Fury at the ready here for YFP, but the Cosmic Divide and maybe a Rolling Thunder to be earned here for Kasoku Band.
Definitely a possibility here. Might even look for that C-long control, but I'm expecting that contest, and you can see the pings coming out from YFP. They have one of those setups kind of ready. The information off that stun, and Edith just going to look to push up and punish.
Good for the first. Quick rotation, though, for KB. Trying to find some tempo and timing to get themselves over to A and still have a numbers advantage, at least on the battle for the site.
Yeah, this double
traps, though.
That's dirty.
Yeah, and Melia's going to get rewarded for both. That's one of those setups that as a Cypher player, you're sitting here saying, wow, I'm good. And KB will at least get a plant out of this, but likely not much more.
Trying to beat the timing there on the drone for carry. They know that they've got to push a little bit further, considering they're in that 2v5, and this is going to take a miracle for Avery.
Yeah. We'll only catch one. That is about as good as it gets for YFP defensively. They set the tone. They meet the restriction on the quick rotation back over to A. That's just like, you're a spider spinning up a web and like just come into my traps. Like everything goes the way you intended to if you're YFP there.
I love how they're so aware, expecting them to be going for the alt orb over towards C, just having that trap play ready immediately for E to follow up, and then the expectation of, okay, they'll run over towards that A site. There's also no way that they're going to expect a second tripwire once they get through that initial choke point, and like you were saying, everything just goes right for YFP there. KB now onto a half eco buy. They do have a couple ultimates to look to convert this round if they manage to find themselves in any sort of numbers or positional advantage. But already an immediate walk down. C long. I wasn't even ready for that window swing. My eyes are over towards that Cypher who's already walked down C.
Yeah, and it's just a double swing at B to check window. And like you mentioned, with the quick walk down C long and A long, the only place they can be is right here in front of Corrupt, and he's already marked it, saying right there, knows exactly where the play is. If you're KB with Stingers and Guardian, this is going to feel good, and Corrupt actually does get punished. The Nebula peak is decent, plus they catch the wrap back. Hold on a second. We've got a post plant and numbers now for KB.
Timing around the backside of B here as well. Carrie's going to have the timing on C-Link. Andy gets caught.
And still be punished here, but weapons starting to get a little bit more favorable for KB. Melia trying to follow up on the trades. Don't line up. This would be a 1v3. Neural Theft still pings again. Adrian in the corner trying to find the timing. Melia shuts it down. A huge 1v3. 4 in the round, and YFP can still do no wrong.
We're just getting a little greedy there. Like, if you're gonna hold as 3, just hold as 3 at that point. A Red Bull clutch should be coming out from Melia. I love the idea from KB in the early round when they were looking to actually get that spike planted before they even did so. Was just taking a beat, knowing that YFP were going for that map control, expecting them to kind of go searching for them, knowing like, okay, they might get a little bit of an itch. They might go for a bit of that information. And they did bite.
Yeah. Oh, that's one that is going to sting for KB. You're thinking you just stole away around and you're right back into this game, but instead things go awry, and now you're just trying to play with a little bit of tempo, and Mizu is going to get all the information in the world. Oh my goodness. The efficacy off of the Sova and the Cypher right now for YFP have been near flawless, and KB has to try to work through a 5v4.
Yeah, working with that advantage, especially when you're lacking the information coming out from Avery as well. The Rolling Thunder to come through on the execution.
Clears off long. You know that sewers might be a bit of an issue, but actually I think that Rolling Thunder actually did connect on the Panday as well, so it just pushes everything back, and now the defense is here, ready to go. How do you try to execute on this if you're KB? Oh, that's a lot of information, just as the Cosmic Divide gets pulled, so YFP will step on into the side. Aftershock on the Mizu, a little bit of trouble, but Corrupt just steps forward! What in the hell is that? A snap from the ages, a Corrupt Edith follows for the trade, and YFP are up 6-2.
You can kind of see the difference in calling here, I think, between YFP and KB. And a lot of that you've also got to lean on Corrupt. And that's not me, you know, saying anything bad about KB at all. I'm not exactly sure who is calling on that team. I would imagine that there is a possibility that Panjay has maybe reprised that IGL role from before. But I look at YFP, and I think that when you have Corrupt leading this team who has the experience of also calling for a squad that's able to, you know, take things within, take maps in tier 2, it's a little different level of experience.
Yeah. And again, just in clutch form in so many ways. Quick take onto the B site. Awareness that there could be a play through long, but again, with just Sheriffs, you're just going to have to hit shots. Plant will come through. This gives an opportunity for KB to put the clock in their favor, and still, you have to clear out window. That's going to be pretty well known here for YFP, but they're kind of fighting the war on 2 fronts.
I do like this push coming out from KB, looking to catch a player off guard. Melly's so patient, though.
Oh, and it gets rewarded. It is a virtue after all, friends. The post-plant defender at window is also shut down. Zards trying to work their way in. Decent for a 1-tap. Cora has to stop the defuse, though, and there's not going to be an opportunity to do that. And YFP will quickly go up 7-2, and it's a game that doesn't feel like 7-2. I'll tell you that much. KB is fighting. They just can't close around.
I think that's the big thing. It really isn't telling the story of each of these rounds. Sure, ever since weapons have come into play outside of, you know, eco guns, it's been YFP all the way. You keep in mind that KB's 2 rounds are from that pistol and the anti-eco that follows, but they have great ideas. It just seems that the responses from YFP are just an edge up over KB, but that's not to say that, you know, that they don't have a good read on the map, that they're not making great decisions when it comes down to their approach to these rounds.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it is. It's just like, you're right there. Just can't get these rounds over the finish line. An important one here in round 10. Great relay bolt from Edith. Playing a little bit more passively here on the Neon, but still spammed out good team shots for KB. Hunter's Fury caused a bit of an issue, but it's going to be responded in kind. And wow, this site is messy. Just flashing lights all over the place. Corrupt still finds 2 before dropping. Another heroic individual moment. Nelia still firmly planted in the backside of the site. And KB, they still have to cross. They have to cross these lines of sights to even get a plant on. The spike is still at the front door.
Looking for the double swing on Melia back site, isolating the 1v1, and it's all up to Scary Shark. And a great swing to come out here from Carry. KB, they finally stop the bleeding. Get around on the board ever since that anti-eco, putting a stop to the 7 rounds that YFP have chained together.
And it's like one of those moments you just take a breath and say, about time. Like, whew. Okay. Can we catch a 7-5 half is the conversation point now for KB. They've got a lockdown. Knives and nearly another Cosmo Divided the ready carry has actually played really well considering how these first 11 rounds have gone. Other side Rolling Thunder at the ready. Nothing else likely to come anytime soon besides the Neural Theft. So 5-player walk down into C. Spy cam. How much of that does it see, if anything?
Immediate Rolling Thunder actually comes out. Cora's not going to be caught on it. In too deep into the site. Walks into the paranoia.
No.
That's so unlucky.
Sister, please. Now the Neural Theft comes out. Misu. Avert your eyes. Just forget you saw anything. Not the greatest moment there for Misu. Numbers advantage for KB. And again, another quick wrap back over to A. They've done this a couple of times now.
Timing?
This should be good. And carries lurk. We'll see. Scary Shark.
Nelly's still C-Link though.
Oh no, it's a lurk of a lurk. Ash.
Already knew. The sound bait worked out.
Edith able to open the doors again. Sentry turret, a bit of an issue. Scary Shark does get in. Con Dart fades. Scary Shark. Goodness gracious, but they line up. Oh, not like that. And Bosmer's able to take that into a double and put a 4th on the board here for KB.
Hey, you put it out in the world. You were manifesting that 7-5. Now it becomes even more doable, not even having to use any of those ultimates that we had talked about previously. The Rolling Thunder no longer in play here from YFP as well. Really not much that you look at as far as impact goes here for the last round for the defenders.
Yeah. And again, if you come away 7-5 as KB, you're sitting there like, all right, we're chilling. We're hanging. We're having a good time. It's fine. Everything's fine. Easier said than done, as Corrupt will get into sewers for the first time.
That's a big risk to be taken, though. Yeah, the crossback has to come through. They're applying at least a little bit of pressure.
Looking for heads. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. That's about all you can say, Ash. Oh, okay. I guess we got that. Edith over through mid. Not sure if they're aware of the threat being established by Carry. Flash for Corrupt, looking to re-clear onto Sewer. Misu watching the angle. There it is. But no. Lazar's able to actually play the counter flash position and punish. So now 4v4 we go. And the lockdown's in a, well, say should be in a pretty decent spot. Recon Bolt just trying to delay, but Scary Shark is able to find the second, and that will deny the lockdown. Plus a follow-up little jump peek bait and switch. Ah, it's beautiful. Carry, last one left.
Yeah, on that lurk here as well. Pretty consistent positioning for Carry. Has always been over towards mid a little later.
Oh. Yeah.
We really needed that one to make this round securable with 30 seconds on the clock.
It's just so hard to execute on trigger discipline when it's a neon sprinting away from you. And that is a high, medium, and low stack. Essentially on the way you look at that. Just a lot of people looking at you. So 8-4 half, and again, if you're KB, you have to sit here and talk for a second, be like, yo, we're chill, we're in this. Like, a lot of winnable rounds between 3 and 9 that just don't quite get over the finish line, 6 and 7 in particular, but you got to come out, win this pistol, and just reset the mental.
Yeah, you've also seen some of the micro adjustments, I think, coming out from KB. Their ability to pause a little bit more in some of those rounds. Meanwhile, it felt like a YFP had the edge up, you know, with some of that information starvation. And we saw KB taking a page out of their book in a couple of those, netting them some wins too. But it all starts in this pistol, like you were talking about here. You've already got the deep line set up here for Panday and that fault line off of... who knows, it might even be one off of Rip just to deny a fast flood or just a contact as well.
Fault line hits onto every single member at A-Long. YFP not to be deterred by that, though. We'll just have to be a little bit more cautious as they try to clear out sewer. Aldro showing force and checking for info over towards Garage. Pulls the defense back just a touch, trying to respond to that threat. And in that moment, YFP start to make their move up towards sewer.
Yeah, and even just breaking that turret, it requires so many more members of KB to stick around the left side of the map.
And I'll say gets a read, but the patience, the discipline for Edith. Knowing the fault line connects, just sprints and watches both players just struggling to just stay even remotely on their feet. Spam shot's also going to connect for extra damage here on the KB defenders. Relay bolt to delay. Edith thinking about it with the high gear fully charged, but this is just about playing for a little bit of bloodlust, as there's really no way you think KB get through this. It just comes down to how many does Edith tally. And the answer is it'll stop at 3 before eventually YFP takes the pistol and get the 9.
Important round that as far as things go for Kasoku to try and close that gap a little early on, but continue to be broadened here by the side of YFP. A really strong anti-eco that we're looking at here as well, coming out from the squad. And for Kasoku Band,
I need this.
They're not actually going to take the gamble as far as that smidge of a buy-up goes. Playing it a little safe.
Tough when you're on the defensive side and you only found one elimination. It's just, it just kind of gets thrown out of the picture.
Oh, for sure. I think also, like, when you're at 9-4, the scoreline's not so bad that you have to take that risk here on the slightly weaker buy compared to, like, a full loadout.
Cover going out.
See what you can get done with the pistols at the very least.
I'm actually a little bit surprised they're not just trying to do a 5-man stack walk down somewhere and just keep YFP from getting a plant and making this bonus even more deadly.
Deploying drone.
You've got the snowball effect still coming in on the side of KB. I think YFP, with how quietly they were playing, KB were kind of aware of the fact that maybe they were posted up ready for a very slow default to try and counter a play like that. And the rest of the team actually just goes searching. They just leave. They completely leave Misu to, you know, do all of that distraction, considering that she's only got that ghost in hand, not giving anything away for free.
But she hears all of this. She's hearing all of these jumps, all of these footsteps, and I was going to say maybe there's a chance to catch a couple on the rotation, but instead there is the first blood. So now numbers for KB. Plant does come through. Difficult retake still, but at least they've got numbers, and there's still a fair bit of utility here to use.
Oh yeah, they haven't had to use any of that initiator util into the early round, so lots to retake with at the very least.
This is the first step, though. Oh, great relay bolt. Dropped also making sure nobody peeks over through the window. Bars are being placed, but Carey gets absolutely blown away, and that will be pretty much the end of that effort. As, here comes the rest of the greed for YFPX. They're going to get to 10 here with Panday just hanging around.
Looking to find a couple of exits if possible and then dive to that spike. And it just won't be the case. Double digits here for YFP. There's been clean rounds so far since we've swapped sides. As to be expected off the back of that pistol, but it's going to be a strong bonus coming in here for YFP.
Oh yeah. That's about as strong as it gets, honestly. Full weapons, couple of light armors, in what can only be defined as a must-win round for KB.
lot of stall though with the little trap play, and more numbers on the side of KB over towards A this time around. A solo swing from Carry gets punished with the trade. Actually surprised that Cora opted to back off there. I thought that maybe it'd be a little bit of a double up.
Yeah, the big issue here is that this is going to be a guaranteed weapon at some point for Melia to upgrade into, and you likely uses a lurk. I'll drone for the defense just to see if there's any hit over towards A. Who do they keep here, if anybody? Because again, it's a must-win round. Like, you can't afford to just stay stationary onto A, and here comes the check. We half-checked the corner. That's so tough.
Oh, and then you've got this double up coming in here too, seeing if they can punish any sort of walk up, and Avery gonna fall prey straight into it, expecting maybe Melia to be the one backing out instead, and everyone's kind of just getting caught up on these rotations right now.
Yep.
Oh, the spawn position's so good.
Thing is, Melia is only looking for the long wrap through the defensive spawn, and Positor looks like they may be aware that this could be a potential play, but again, you can't afford to clear everything, not when you hear footsteps over towards the site, and Scary Shark will deal with it before any reinforcements or help is needed whatsoever. 11-4, and the bonus being won. Well, Ash, you may be starting to talk about Pearl here very soon.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I do want to say though that I think Bazaar had the right idea there. You know, you can't really afford to clear in. You're trying to maybe just like deny that spike from being planted and then play a bit of time afterwards. And especially in like a 1v3 situation. But with losing out up against that bonus, dire things on the side of KB. Don't have anything to work with. You've got, you know, potential match point coming up here for the side of YFP.
Yeah, and it looks like information's been gained for YFP that Cora did move over into the stack at A long, so don't bother with that. You know they're stuck there until they decide to dash away from it. So Melia is going to try to throw a little bit of force in towards B, and then likely you're going to get a quick rundown to C long here. And yeah, Bazaar's already been taken off the angle.
Found you.
Orb collected, shot plan for Melia on the lurk, and that will be likely around 12 unless Bazaar can hit a couple of shots on the backside of their utility. That works for one. Any other miracles? Gonna need one.
I mean, 16 health though. There's not too much more you can ask from Bazaar. And again, these lurk positions for Melia have just been a complete thorn in the side of KB. Just maintaining this garage control, catching it on those timings. Hey, KB, you know, they have to be so wary of the space that's been taken by the attackers.
Yeah. And just all this pre-fire, it just makes you so self-conscious about how you choose to flood. Yeah, now you got a shorty in your face. Goes from bad to worse that fast. And then you have the exposed post plant here on the side. Bazaar's done really well. I can't lie in terms of like asking for your island player to provide with the sheriff. 3 kills in the round, you'd be saying good job, but no one else is able to follow up, and that will be now map point for YFP.
Go, go, go! More looking towards KB to do a little bit of like a mental reset, I think, going into the next map. Not really expecting too much more out of them. It would be a monumental opportunity to make history with a comeback right now, but it's just not something that I foresee with the way that YFP are playing.
Yeah, that's fair. Put it plainly again, it's the results are starting to speak for themselves now. That first half maybe not as much, but after the bonus comes through on this half, this side of the map, it just feels quite impossible. But Cora sparks up a convo. They have to take down 3. Misu last one left, and with the splash down, it would have to be some sort of a easy flat followed up with the 1v2. Not going to happen though. Cora for 4, and KB staying alive.
I do like that adjustment from KB at the very least. You know, I feel like we've seen Carry consistently pushing into A short, has been punished previously by YFP. We didn't really have much of that long presence, and YFP got a little bit complacent with it, not really expecting the swing through the smoke that gets laid down over towards bricks, and it at least able to take advantage of some of that conditioning that's been done for the side of KB, but It's going to be hard to, I think, replicate results like that as well. We're seeing another change in the setup coming out from KB2. We've committed to this.
Oh, yeah, we are.
That's a great fault line.
Yeah, Panda has nowhere to go. Carry nearly able to follow up the deal with Scary Shark, who is out of there, and whoa!
Hold on.
Avery, good reaction to the first, but no chance at more. Carry a good look, though, from topside heaven. Yeah, window was never really fully looked at again here for YFP, so getting a little bit sloppy, a little bit of a foot off the gas for a moment here. And a chance for KB to get a 6, but whoa, great shots from Melia. Has Cora by themselves. Knives at the ready, up and over. Neural Theft coming through, dancing with the devil, and Melia will finalize map number 1. 13-5. Quick and easy for YFP.
They're looking really comfortable here on Haven. I think that you consider the first half that we had. Melia was a force to be reckoned with. She was super dynamic with a lot of those Cypher trip setups and whatnot. And then Thorn in the side on those lurks on the attack. And for Kasoku Band, just got to look forward to Pearl on their map pick.
Yeah, a couple of missed opportunities early, but the story writes itself there in favor of YFP in map number 1. So with that said, we'll step away for a brief break, come back and start to talk about what map number 2 looks like for KB on the backside of the break.